Good morning, children. Today we are going to discuss about management of natural resources. Natural resources, a resource that occur naturally in the environment are known as natural resources. Objects, materials, creatures or energy found in nature that can be put to use by humans. See the picture, the ecosphere, atmosphere, hydrosphere and lithosphere all are having the biosphere.
Introduction to natural resource. Every science, the earth was inhabited. Humans and other life form have depended on things that exist freely in nature or survive. These things include water, sea and fresh water, land, soils, rocks, forest, that's called vegetation, animals, including fish, fossil fuels and minerals. They are called natural resources and are the base of life on earth. All the mentioned above are natural and they exist in nature. No human created them. We tap into their supply to survive and also to function properly. Natural resources are all connected in a way. Therefore, if one is taken away, it will affect the supply or quality of all others. For example, if water is eliminated from an area, the vegetation, soils, animals and even the air in that area will be affected negatively. Below is a simple illustration of some great things that we get from some natural resource. See the picture. Water, energy, drinking water. Oil, energy, fuel. Wood, food, medicine, pulp, recreation. Home of wildlife, rubber, cotton in forests. Construction shelter, rocks, jewelry, glass, cans, ceramics from minerals, agriculture from soil, food, wool, recreation from animals. A natural resource can be consumed directly or indirectly. For instance, humans depend directly on forests for food, biomass, health, recreation and increased living comfort. Indirectly, forests act as climate control, flood control, storm protection and nutrient cycle. A raw material. Sometimes natural resource can be used as raw material to produce something. For instance, we can use a tree from the forest to produce timber. The timber is then used to produce wood for furniture or pulp for paper and paper product. In this scenario, the tree is the raw material. Every item in your home was made from a raw material that came from a natural resource. The tea mug, electricity at home, bread, cloths, you name them. Each of them came from a natural resource. Natural resource come in many forms. It may be a solid, a liquid or gas. It may also be organic or inorganic. It may also be metallic or non-metallic. It may be renewable or non-renewable. Type of natural resource. All natural resources fall under two main categories, renewable and non-renewable resource. The table below will help us understand this better. See the picture. The natural resource divided to two categories, renewable and non-renewables. Renewables, plants and animals. Non-renewable minerals, fossil fuel and soils. Renewable resources. Renewable resources are those that are constantly available, like water, or can be reasonably replaced or recovered, like vegetative land. Animals are also renewable because with a bit of care they can reproduce offspring to replace adult animals. Even though some renewable resource can be replaced, they may take many years and that does not make them renewable. If renewable resources come from living things such as tree and animals, they can be called organic renewable resources. For renewable resource come from non-living things such as water, sun and wind, they can be called inorganic renewable resource. Non-renewable resource. Non-renewable resources are those that cannot easily be replaced once they are destroyed. Example include fossil fuels. Minerals are also non-renewable because even though they form naturally in the process called rock cycle, it can take thousands of years, making it non-renewable. Some animals can also be considered non-renewable because if people hunt for the particular species without ensuring their reproduction, they will be extinct. This is why we must ensure that we protect resources that are endangered. Non-renewable resource can be called inorganic resource if they come from non-living things. Example includes minerals, wind, land, soil and rocks. Some non-renewable resources come from living things such as fossil fuels. They can be called organic non-renewable resource. Metallic and non-metallic resource. Inorganic resource may be metallic or non-metallic. Metallic minerals are those that have metals in them. They are harder, shiny and can be melted to form new products. Examples are iron, copper and tin. Non-metallic minerals have no metals in them. They are softer and do not shine. Examples include clay and coal. See the picture. The natural resources. Natural resources are the resource available in the nature like air, water, sunlight, soil, minerals, forest, wildlife, etc. Renewable are the resource which can be replaced in a short period of time like air, water, sunlight, forest. Non-renewable are the resource which cannot be replaced in a short period of time like minerals. See, a natural resource. Some pictures is there. The natural vegetations and birds, something the forest also. The trees of save the environments. Reduce, recycle and recycle. Reduce means using less of natural resource and avoiding wastage of natural resources. Recycle means the materials like paper, plastic, glass, metals, etc. used for making things can again be used for making new things. Instead of synthesizing or extracting new paper, plastic, glass or metals. Reuse means using things again and again, like the plastic bottles in which we buy jams, pickles, etc. can be again used for storing things in the kitchen. See, the three are to save the environment. See, the reduce, using less natural resource and avoiding wastage of natural resource. A recycle non-biodegradable material can be recycled for making new things. A reuse, using things again and again so that less waste is produced. See, reduce, recycle, reuse. See, some pictures for reduce, recycle and reuses. Need for management of natural resource. All the things we use to consume or obtain from natural resource due to increase in population, industrialization and urbanization, the demand for natural resource is increasing and their availability is limited. So there is need for proper management of natural resource. The proper management of natural resources consists of judicious use of natural resource and avoiding waste of natural resource, long-term planning for use of natural resource so that it lasts not only for the present but also for further generation. The explanation of natural resource should not be for the benefit of a few people but should be distributed equally for all. While extracting and using natural resource, we should also plan for the safe disposal of waste so that no damage is caused to the environment. Why do, you, do we need to manage our resource? Need to manage natural resource due to the ever increasing population and rising demands of changing lifestyle. Natural resources are being depleted at an alarming rate. To ensure sustainable equal distribution of resource and reduction of damage of the environment, management of resource must be an integral part of our society. We must ensure judicious as our natural resource as it is not ultimate, and management of such require long-term planning in order to last generations. Increasing in the demand of natural resource. Increasing population is increasing demand for more resource that are getting depleted at the exponential rate. Changing lifestyle and advancement in technology is compelling industries to exploit our natural reserve to meet their demands. Forest and wildlife. Forests are termed as the biodiversity hotspot. Biodiversity is the variety and range of plants and animal life in the particular habitat. Loss of biodiversity may result in loss of ecological balance and damage to the ecosystem. stakeholder of forest. When we consider the conservation of forest, we must consider following stakeholders. People who habitat around the forest under development on forest produce. Forest department of government that own the lead land and resource. Industrialization who use the forest to produce certain products. Example, leaves of tindu of biddies and paper mills. Conservation and wildlife enthusiasts who want to conserve nature in its premise form. Monoculture. Monoculture is the cultivation of a single crop in a given area. Exclusive monoculture destroys the biodiversity of the area. Various need of the plant local to forest area are neglected, such as leaves for fodder, herbs and fruit for consumption. Industrialist mentality and influence. Industry considered forest as a source of raw materials. Industries have more political power than the local and only bother about meeting their demands. They do not care about sustainability and will move on from one habitat to another in a search of raw material. People intervention of forest. Human intervention is a necessity in the management of forest, resource and landscape. A resource must be utilized, ensure development while preserving the environment. Benefits must go to the local people to ensure economic growth and conservation take place in simultaneously. Examples: Bisho community in Rajasthan for serving Keris trees in Jodhpur, Rajasthan. Damage of forest and wildlife. Exclusive and loss utilize of forest will deplete the resource quicker than they can be restored. Destroy the ecological balance and may damage the habitats for various species of flora and fauna. Sustainable developments. Sustainable developments needs all stakeholders of forest resource to be satisfied. In reality, industries use forest at rates far below the market rates, which causes conflict between local dweller and industrials. Chipko movements. The Chipko Andolan is one such case of conflict between the industrialist and local dweller in the 1970s. Chipko movements originated in Reni Garhwal high up in the Himalayas. The conflict between local villages and logging contractor, women of the village stopped felling of tree by hanging them. Contractor had to reverse the action. See, women protecting the tree by hanging them. The movement quickly gained popularity and media attention forced the government to rethink the management of forest resource. Involvement of local people is quickly important in the management of forest resource. See the forest. Importance of forest. Forest help the preserve biodiversity. Forest and natural habitats of plants and animals. Forest provide timbers, wood, fuel, medicine, fodder, etc. Forest help to maintain ecological balance. Forest help to control climate and rainfall. Forest help to prevent soil erosion and control floods. Forest help the maintenance the oxygen, carbon dioxide balance in nature. Stakeholder of forest. Peoples who are associated with the forest directly or indirectly, or people living in and around forest depend on forest for their livelihood. Industrialists who use the raw material from forest for manufacturing paper, medicine, furniture. Forest department of the government who owns the forest and control the resource from the forest. Natural and wildlife organization who want to conserve and preserve forest. See the picture. Afforestation planning of more trees, conservation of forests, preventing overgrazing by cattle, by settling of wildlife sanctuary, national parks, biosphere, reservoirs, preventing or reducing deforestation, undertaking social forest program like ban, moisture protecting trees on a large scale. Conservation of forest. See the picture. The plantation is there. The tree also safe. Wildlife. Importance of wildlife. Wildlife help to preserve biodiversity. Wildlife help to maintain food chain and food web. We get useful products from wildlife like food, medicine, leather, bones, honey, lac, etc. Conservation of forest. Preserving the natural habitats of animals. Banning poaching of animals. Protecting endangered species of animals. Setting up of wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, biosphere reservoirs. See the wildlife. There's some picture of wildlife, the national parks and some of the zoological park. Water for all. Water. Water is necessary for all terrestrial form of life. In India, places having a water scarcity are also the places experience acute poverty. Despite the monsoon, there exists failure to retain groundwater due to loss of vegetation and release of effluent farm industries. A decreasing in fresh usable water due to the destruction of water table and distribution of water cycle. Rains and irrigation practice. Intervention of government to pursue mega projects neglected the local irrigation methods. Strict regulation on usage of stored water and building tanks, dams and channels. Optimum cropping patterns must be followed based on water availability. Involvement of local peoples. Khulgas. Himachal Pradesh had a canal irrigation system called as kulhas, where following streams, water was derived to main man-made channels, which took it to village down the hillside. The water was used first by the village farthest from the origin of the kulk. This helped water percolate in the soil. It was made defect affect government irrigation system took over. Water, use of water. Water is a basic necessity for all living things. We use water for our daily needs, for agriculture, transportation, construction of buildings, roads, dams, etc. Water is the natural habitat for aquatic organisms. Human activities are affecting the availability of water and causing pollution of water bodies. Dams. Advantages of dams. Irrigation of crops, producing electricity, supplying water to towns and cities to control floods. Disadvantage of dams. Social problems. It displaces a large number of peoples who have to be rehabilitated. Economic problems. It is expensive and use huge amount of public money. Environmental problems. It causes deforestation and loss of biodiversity. See some picture of dams. Dam. Dam can store large amount of water and generate electricity. Mismanagement of dams cause exploitation and there is no equitable distribution of this resource. Criticisms about large dam address. Displacement of tribals without compensation. Corruption and consumption of money without generation of benefits. Environmental problem like deforestation. Water harvesting. Water harvesting encourage soil and water conservation in order to sustain and increase biomass, increases income for the local community but also elevates flood and droughts. Example Rajasthan tanks, Kahidans and Nadis, Maharashtra, Tals and Bandras, Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. Bandis, Bihar, Painis and Ahas, Himachal Pradesh, Kulgas, Katas in Karnataka, ponds in Kandi, belt of Jammu region and Iris tanks in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Surgams. Water harvesting, construction or crescent shaped earthen embankments. Concern check dams, built areas that are seasonally flooded. The main purpose is to reaching groundwater. Water harvesting, rainwater harvesting. Water harvesting is collecting and storing rainwater for further use. The common method of water harvesting are digging pits, ponds, lakes, etc. Building small earthen dams or concrete check dams. Construction of dikes, construction of reservoir, construction of rooftop collecting units in house. Advantages of underground water. It does not evaporate easily. It spread out the reaches wells. It provides moisture for irrigation of crops. It does not get polluted easily. It does not provide breeding ground for mosquito and housefly. Different methods of water harvesting. See the picture. Different type of water harvesting methods is there. A rain water harvesting system. The roof is there. The roof is used for the pipe and filter the tank, and roof catchments used for roof catchments and collecting for the overflow pipes and collecting the tank and once again using for further purpose. And rainwater harvesting. The rainwater come to the roof and put into the ground using for the well methods. Coal and petroleum. Coal and petroleum are derived from fossil fuel which are non-renewable. They will get depleted in due time. Hence, proper management for consumption of fossil fuel is important. Their consumption pollutes our environments due to the production of oxidized carbon, sulfur and nitrogen. Therefore, we need to use these resources judiciously. Why should fossil fuels be used judiciously? Fossil fuels are formed over millions of years of degrading biomass and have a huge amount of carbon. When consumption is in a limited supply of oxygen, they form harmful gases that pollutes the atmosphere, which lead to global warming. Judicious use of fossil fuel address the efficiency of our machines and ensure sustainability of our resource for the future. There are so many materials gathering to our various needs on daily basis. We drink water, eat food, breathe air, go to school, etc. All these things are available to us, but are all free of cost and readily accessible without fear of being depleted one day. No, not everything is readily available to us. For instance, sunlight, air, etc. are resources which we find in abundance and yet would be depleted and time soon, anytime soon. Hence, these resources are called inexhaustible natural resource. Other resources are created in very limited quantities and it taken a very long time for such resource to be replenished. Such resources are known as exhaustible natural resource. Coal, petroleum, minerals, natural gases, etc. Let us briefly understand a few of these exhaustible natural resources. Coal and petroleum. Coal and petroleum are formed as a result of degradation of ancient plant life which lived millions of years ago. These dead plant material started the pile up, eventually forming a substance called peat. Over time, heat and pressure from geological process transformation these material into coal. Since these are formed from essentially fossils, they are also known as fossil fuel. How is coal formed? Formation of coal dated back to millions of years ago when the earth was covered only with vast, most moist of forest having huge trees, shrubs, ferns, etc. These plants underwent their life cycle and withdrew away, eventually falling back to the ground, most of which were swamps. New plants replaced them. They underwent of life cycle and the whole process continued repeatedly over the years, as a result of which the earth beds started accumulating all these dead plants. This gives rise to a very thick layer of dead decomposition matters, backing down plant matters, washing away all the decades matters. Physical and chemical changes took place as the result of heat and temperature, extracting out all oxygen leaving the plant layers with carbon rich content, thus resulting in the formation of coal over the period of time. Types of coal. Coal is a readily combustible rock containing more than 50% weight of carbon. Coal formed can be of three types depending on the amount of oxygen, carbon and hydrogen they contain. They are lignite, bituminous, anthracite. Petroleum. Petroleum is the fossil fuel that naturally occur in the liquid form, created by the decomposition of organic matters beneath the surface of the earth. Millions of years ago, these fossil fuel are then refined into usable substance such as petrol, kerosene, etc. It is formed by the combination of hydrocarbons and other substances, mainly sulfur. When first collected in its natural forms, it is termed as crude oil. This substance is generally characterized by a brownish black color, although it can also differ between red to pale yellow or even colorless. Its thickness varies from nearly solid tar-like consistency to low viscosity, almost like water. Refining petroleum thus obtained yield may useful products. Let's have a look at it. Product of petroleum. Petroleum products are obtained as a result of refining crude oil in oil refiners. There are numerous products that are created from petroleum and its byproducts. A study revealed that by products of petroleum alone provides scope to obtain 6,000 plus new products, to name a few: fertilizer, perfumer, flooring, insecticides, soaps, vitamins, petroleum jelly, etc. Few of products obtained from petroleum are gasoline, diesel oil, kerosene, tar, heavy fuel oil, petroleum coke, lubricants, special naphthals, paraffin wax, aviation gasoline. Use of petroleum. Petroleum is one of the most important widely used fuel in today's time. Some of its advantages are: these are transportation fuels, via air, water or land. Diesel is used to power turbines for the production of electricity in large scale industries. Oil is used to produce electricity and homes and soaps. Oil helps lubricants, different type of high-end machines used in different industries, hospital, etc. Kerosene is used for domestic purpose at home, used by chemical industries to produce plastic, dyes, paints, synthetic rubbers, pesticides, perfumes, etc. See, uh, the coal and petroleum. Petroleum may last for 40 years. Coal may last from 200 years, contain carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen, sulfur. When burned, they release carbon dioxide and oxygen of nitrogen and sulfur. Carbon dioxide in greenhouse gas which causes global warming. Oxides of nitrogen, sulfur and products acid rains. Coal and petroleum are a fossil fuel formed by the decomposition of dead plants and animals. Acid rain formation. For global warming, the acid is comes, the acid rain has come here. See the picture. Melting of polar ice, and the day is today. Rise in the sea level. Okay, thank you.